Oh, no wonder it sounded so weird. It was playing double music. What are you, high?
Not a mashup,
It was kind of a really strange mashup. But you know what time it is. Hey, Donald, spark up. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? It's 420 in California. This is Reefer Revolution Live.
But I think in terms of marijuana, and legalization, I think that should be a state issue, state by state. I think it's up to the states, yeah. I'm a states person. I think it should be up to the states, absolutely. You know, I know people that are very, very sick, and for whatever reason, the marijuana really helps them.
Good people don't smoke marijuana.
Well, for whatever reason, a rogues gallery of congresspeople want the DEA to allow research from good old dispensary cannabis. Gee, what a novel idea. Meanwhile, Booker, Bogarts, Biden, and his boomer, bogus, bingus, and Bloomberg backtracks on his bull ballyhoo. Oh my, I'll try to get them all in there. Cannabis 2020. And Miss Universe goes to pot in spectacular fashion as the Emerald Cup is upon us.
This is the time to go all in on
Oh, I'm all in on the Emerald Cup.
Joe Biden is wrong about weed. He called marijuana a gateway drug, but science says he's wrong. Cory Booker knows that legalizing marijuana is the sensible, humane thing to do.
Humane.
Cory can take on Donald Trump and win this fight.
That's right, folks. Emerald Cup is upon us this Saturday. Flatbush Zombies just added. This is the cannabis event of the year. Emerald Cup 2020. Sonoma County Fairgrounds, December 14th and 15th. Join Reefer Revolution. We'll be there. Buy your tickets early. They're going fast. It's an amazing event. Oh, Booker. Booker getting big on cannabis. That's right. What's up, Reefer Revolutionaries? I'm Dave Conan. This is Reefer Revolution Live, the show where we spark up. You spark up. Spark up. Talk about cannabis care, the politics of pot, hemp news, and all things from that wonderful, miraculous plant culture news, politics, all the good things. And of course, when I say we, I mean my partner in all things life and in cannabis, Coach Chela.
Cheers. Hey, everybody.
Is your mic on?
Oh, I don't know. Shit.
I want to thank you for being conscientious about your mic batteries. I remembered at the last minute to turn on the receiver.
Okay. Hi,
Coach
everybody.
Chela.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, babe. Hi.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you so much.
I am wearing my pre-Emerald Cup green here.
Your
My
Northern
my
California
flannel for the Northern California trip next weekend.
State flag.
The state flag, as Steve,
As Slow News Day likes to say.
As Slow News Day says.
I'm wearing my cozy sweater with the door wide open because I'm hot.
Hot, cold, the old hot and cold routine. It is a bit chilly and rainy here in California right now. It is very cool.
But we're
awesome.
here and enjoying Old Pal.
We are enjoying Old Pal.
Talking about the news. It's very exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive, guys. Everything's changing.
What's everybody else smoking? As I say,
Yeah.
we are enjoying. We're enjoying some of our our Anne Frank harvest with some skunk that we grew, and we are this. I find the pre-ground very affordable Old Pal to go nicely in the home grow and spread that out. And we enjoyed some of their flower last week. But we find, Old Pal is affordable and accessible because, their motto is it's just weed, man. And neighbor grown, meant to be shared. The cannabis is all natural, sun-kissed. And we have all three samples, don't we? All varieties, right?
We do.
Indica sativa hybrid.
We do. We have indica, sativa, and hybrid. They come in these very convenient pouches.
Very nice, and affordably priced.
With rolling papers already ready already.
Which is worth the price of admission.
I totally love these packets. They're awesome.
So we thank Old Pal.
Thank you so much.
And we look forward. We'll probably maybe we'll see them up at the Emerald Cup, because we are going to be on the hunt for lots of interesting people to bring to the show for next year's lineup. We are taking Reefer Revolution to a new level, to a new place with more interviews and stories, and really focusing on a lot of the OG, the history of the cannabis plant and the movements, and as long as what's going on now. And the medicine, right? And what's going on now in the medicine, despite the sluggishness and the feet dragging of the federal government, despite the states moving forward, and of course states moving rapidly forward in 2020. So many states, so many ballot initiatives going forward with cannabis. The federal government has got to throw up its hands at some point.
It's still a slow roll in states. They're making it's like window dressing. They make it seem like, legal California. It's so awesome. And I know we look so great and so awesome compared to some states. However, they make it almost impossible to do business. Small craftspeople are going out of business all the time. And I really hope that those small farmers and craftspeople who've been doing this for so long find their way into elected office. That's what I really hope that they move into. And
and activists as well as growers, just everyone who's been effective. Just watched an amazing video from friends of the show, the Grow Sisters, on a farm up in Humboldt. In Humboldt, and really just explaining what this legalization has meant to the craft, what is called craft cannabis now. The fear of corporate takeover, as opposed to a fear of helicopters. Now it's the fear of giant corporations.
And the fear of compliance. She didn't mention that, but I've heard that from other growers.
So it is, and it has been devastating in many ways to local economies because of how cannabis created and supported community for so many years up there. Of course, events like the Emerald Cup coming out of that OG outlaw, basically anarchy, anarchists, growing cannabis, using that money to support schools, fire departments, community centers.
Taking care of their own.
That's actually taking care of their own. That's actually called anarchy. Yeah. That's what anarchy is. So it was actually, did greed and outside forces come in and force and change things in many levels? Sure. But ultimately, much of that community remained intact and beneficial to those around them for many years, until now. Prop 64 has changed everything. Maybe we'll play that video after we're done, just a little bit.
Oh, that'd be great.
Because it was really powerful to hear it directly from someone who's been impacted by this legalization. Not just the patients, but the growers and what it's created. And it's a warning to states like Illinois. CJ Apo first in the house. Hey everybody, let's say hello to some folks in there. There's MDM Niles joining us on Facebook. We are multi-streaming, of course, guys. We are on YouTube, is where our main engagement happens, but we are on Facebook, Periscope. Actually, I'm not on Periscope right now. It's a problem. But Facebook, Twitch, DLive, and as soon as Weed TV gets their things worked out, we're going to be back over there on Weed TV, the Cannabis Media Network. Looking forward to that. So wherever you are, thank you for joining in. Mr. Sativa, Cannabis Sativa, joining in, does an awesome podcast. Give some love over there. History Buffering is here. As I said, CJ Apo was first in High Tubes. Look at that right there. CJ Poet going to the top of the list. You coming on out for the Emerald Cup? We saw CJ last year, along with some other Reefer Revolutionaries that enjoy the show, Holy Cannabis Oil. And we are looking forward to seeing Dr. Barry is coming out this year.
Yes.
And we are going to get together on Friday night with any Reefer Revolutionaries, wherever we can. We're still to be determined.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We will figure it out all this week in pre-production.
But yes, Dr. Barry and we were listening to the Society of Cannabis Clinicians
amazing
quarterly meeting.
Amazing.
You guys, if you have any affiliation with the medical cannabis space, you should apply to join the Society of Cannabis Clinicians. They have a quarterly meeting, so 4 a year, that are really worth the price of admission. It's not very expensive to join. I think for non-clinician members, it's like $100. That's what we pay. So it's fantastic for these 4 meetings a year at least, and then access to all these doctors and nurses and researchers and clinicians that are also members. They have an open forum. I highly recommend joining the Society of Cannabis Clinicians, not only because I'm a member of the outreach committee, but because really it's a world-class organization. And yes, today we had
that's why you're a member of the outreach community.
It's true. They had a really great meeting today all about the vaping crisis.
And we're going to talk a little bit about it, some of what we learned, and with new developments in the news.
Yeah.
Touch on it. But yes, no, that was always amazing information that come out of those Zoom calls.
Yep.
Every quarter. And really
they're online. You don't have to worry about going someplace.
And this one was no exception. Upstate Raider joining in, Debbie D, Rob Mark over on Facebook, and Dr. Barry Gordon is in the house. The doctor is in. Oh, Dr. B, we had an idea, brainstorming, of maybe, because your handle is Ask Dr. Barry, right, over on Twitter, if I'm wrong, but it's close to that, I think. But we would do maybe a segment, semi-regular segment about Ask Dr. Barry, because you are one of the preeminent cannabis doctors in Florida, and so much news and things coming out of Florida, information that Dr. Gordon provides for us. Friend of the show, has been on before, and I'm sure would come on in the future, and maybe we can do that semi-regularly, and Dr. Biscuit can join in.
That would be awesome.
We can, do a regular cannabis doctor segment, which is really what we want to do, and what we want to do in the new year in 2020. Not only focus on the politics, because it is really Cannabis 2020 is really it's what's happening. It's what's on in store. What's that commercial? It slips me right now. But really, cannabis is on the political menu for 2020, for at least for the Democrats, and probably will end up somewhere on the radar of 45 when somebody asks them about it at some point. Something may come out. So we are, of course, talking about the cannabis news, and stay tuned, subscribe, get notifications, stay tuned for what's coming in 2020. More interviews, more looking at the history of cannabis and medical cannabis, and talking to medical patients that are using it on the ground, with the way the federal government is dragging its feet. May change on a dime, but still, it's going to take a decade to change the minds of many medical professionals, even with radical change.
But speaking of changing on a dime, you guys should subscribe to what's sort of our backup channel, which is edcan.tv. It's on YouTube also.
Where we put most of our pure educational material of seminars and things we record. If this channel gets shut down
for any reason,
which the YouTube apocalypse may be coming, so who knows? But that's why we're multi-streaming, because we want to make sure the message gets spread far and wild and wide. So share the show, share what we do every Sunday. It's going to get better and better. And we're going to be basically for the rest of the year, we're going to be doing live updates. We're going to be coming live from the Emerald Cup numerous times over the weekend, all 3 days, as well as check-ins up and through the first of the year, because we'll be going out of town.
And we'll probably go through San Francisco, so we'll stop at a dab bar. So it's going to be a fun, rest of the year, a lot of live check-ins and stuff. Subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Because I'm going to use this next couple weeks to practice going on Instagram Live. So follow us there too.
Indeed. And that is Reefer Rev Show over on Instagram, which I will bring up here. I forgot to get it going. But it's Reefer Rev Show on Instagram and Twitter, as well as DC420LA. That's where you can find me doing my tweeting, which is where I do most of my tweets, which is the breaking cannabis news throughout the week at DC420LA. Chela is going to master the Instagram account, and we'll be doing live stories from the Instagram, from the cup, as well as on the channel. We'll be restreaming to all the regular multi-channels from the cup when we do our check-ins and as we develop our and get basically our interview list for the next year.
Right?
From all of those amazing people that are going to be at the cup.
Oh, it's amazing.
So we're going to set up our whole schedule for the next year of shows.
Yeah, it's such a. So you guys know we go to a lot of different cannabis events because we're here in LA and a million different cannabis events happen. And the Emerald Cup is a very special one because you're so close to where the cannabis is actually grown. You know, and you're talking to the people who actually grow it, who have been growing it for 30, 40, 50 years, who have been the ones who created the foundation that the whole medical movement was built on. And it's just such a warm feeling. It's so good. Anyway.
Well, we had an excellent time last year.
We did. It was really rushed, though. I mean, I definitely overscheduled myself, and I'm going to try to refrain from doing that again, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Vegan Metro is in. Debbie D is in.
Real Jingy.
Real Jingy. Upstate Raider.
Mean Green 420.
Woohoo.
Ugly Adams.
All right, guys, that's just a little talk about what's going on in the near and not so near future with regards to the show. So do all that subscribing and sharing, and let's get into some of the news this week. We did indeed get the newsletter out just moments before the show.
Just in time.
Because
it's a very busy time.
It's been a very busy, I just finished up an awesome gig. And we
worked 6 days.
Worked 6 days this week, and it was
amazing. I worked all week also.
We're quite frankly tired. It was a Debbie D. Who said this was the tartan of the Emerald Cup that I'm wearing here.
Nice, yes, very good.
Is that official?
Tartan of NorCal.
The NorCal tartan.
Yeah. It's very nice.
But yes, it's going to be. We're going to stay warm, because we got rained on last year. It may rain again, but it doesn't matter. They're all usually prepared for that.
Yeah, Debbie D, you should jump on Instagram because it's mostly pictures and learn with me.
Yes.
Because I don't know how to do it either. I'm going to watch some YouTube videos, and I have some friends there that are going to show me some little tricks. I'm just going to start pushing buttons and see how it goes. I think it'll be funny. The kids today love older people being silly. So that's me.
Well, we were silly last year. We went live several times, and we're gonna do it on more of the socials. And this year's Emerald Cup, the longest running sun-grown contest, celebration, and farmers market in the world.
So good.
Flatbush Zombies just added. Steel Pulse is going to be there.
I'm so excited for that. I want to see them so bad.
Martin Lee is going to be there.
I'm so excited for all the sessions and talks. But particularly Martin Lee and Bonnie
Twitter.
Goldstein and Ethan Russo and Sue Sicily. It's very exciting.
He is doing Psychedelics, the next frontier for legalization.
He's doing a bunch of them.
Exciting topic.
Uh-huh.
We know, as you know, we talk about that here.
Totally.
And looks like tickets are going fast for this event coming up this weekend.
Fast. Well, going fast.
Going fast.
They go up tomorrow. So if you're thinking about going, you should try to buy your tickets today.
They've essentially gone up already because the first tiers have already sold out.
Right, but because the time has expired.
Yeah,
this is the second tier.
Has expired.
Yeah, that's why.
But it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, it's going to be great. If you're anywhere near there, you should go. And it's not very expensive for a 2-day event. It's pretty great.
No, considering what it is, what you get,
it's amazing.
The flower is just,
It's amazing. It's amazing.
And the community, and it's one of the most amazing statistics from last year was over the entire event, 2 days, no arrests. And no parking tickets.
Not even a parking
Not even a parking ticket.
Which was crazy because there was a lot of cars, you guys.
And they had a drinking area.
There was.
Yep, there was
I didn't
a beer
go into
area.
it, but I saw it.
But you couldn't. I don't think you couldn't drink in the smoking area, and you couldn't smoke in the. I don't know what it was, but there was a penned off beer garden.
Yep.
But there were no incidents,
yep.
And it was amazing. It was amazing. We got some great interviews. Saw some amazing things. Tried to smoke some amazing cannabis. And we're going to do it again this weekend. So join us at the Emerald Cup if you can. Friday night, we're going to do a meet and greet with the Reefer Revolutionaries and TBD. Sarah, let's get into the news. Oh, no afterburn today, guys.
Nope. We're going to play that video from Grow Sisters.
We're going to play the Grow Sisters. We're going to play a little bit. We're going to play one video from last year's Emerald Cup that we did with Carolyn Garcia, Mountain Girl.
Oh, yeah.
Just to show you the kind of stuff we did last year. And then we're going to go to bed.
Should we play it first? Should we play it now since we're talking
about it? You want to do that?
Oh,
hey, that's a great idea. Great idea.
If you
Very
can.
schmott. I can. It's right here, ready to rock.
Great.
I'm going to do that right now. Let's play. This is Chela's interview, a little from the panel, and Chela's interview with Mountain Girl, the widow, of course, of Jerry Garcia.
Dr. Barry Gordon says he was amazed who was in the call today. Dustin Sulak, Bonnie Goldstein, Ethan Russo, Jenister Wilson King, others. You guys, it is a veritable rock star treasure trove of people at every single one of these SEC meetings. And these people are really generous with their time. They're incredible pioneers in an incredible space. I think it's because they really know, like Dr. Gordon, knows that this medicine is the future. And it is so beneficial for so many patients. Of course, not every single person, but for so many people, it really is great medicine. So, highly recommend Society of Cannabis Clinicians and the Emerald Cup. I think Dave's ready.
Well, Dave, listen, I didn't really make all of that connection. I knew when I heard Dr. Russo was in there, and then Dr. Goldstein, and then Dr. Wilson King, and then I didn't know that Dustin Sulak was in there. That was really
he's one of the board members because they all have a board meeting after.
The Woodstock of
and Dr. Hergenrath,
cannabis clinicians.
And Dr.
Hergenrather, who just got back from Israel, right? Who we have an interview on about how cannabis helps dementia.
That's right.
Stay tuned for that as well.
Exactly.
All of that content is going to be released starting in January as well.
Yeah.
And as a docu-series for everybody to see. So lots going on with the show. Lots going on in cannabis and in cannabis news for sure. Not the least of which is politics. So let's talk about some of that cannabis news. And it's as published just before the show, DC420LA.com, a Cannabis Chronicle. You can sign up for the newsletter, which I just send out one a week, sometime over the weekend before the show. And then we talk about some of the news stories that we found throughout the week for about an hour or so here. So if you want to follow along, you can open another browser and go to DC420LA.com. So let's talk about, shall we get into fun stuff first? You want to talk about the Miss Universe contest?
I guess since you brought it up.
Let's. Well, it's just such a,
do you have the good photo? The big one of her walking down the runway?
Where?
There it is. Yeah, it's in that story. Yeah, it's in that story. Keep going. There it is.
So what is this? What is this from, Chela?
So the Miss Universe pageant has a national costume contest. So you wear your national costume that most represents your country. And so Miss Canada, the Canada entry, is wearing a cannabis outfit. She is medical marijuana because it's legal in her state. That was sort of a dumb answer.
There's a Stop Violence Against Women, Cambodia. It's a lot of political statements.
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. And boom!
Just like cannabis is. It's pretty rad, actually. I mean, I'm super excited about it because in a pageant like the Miss Universe pageant, who talks about cannabis? So she brought that conversation to that audience, and that to me is super exciting.
I can't seem to zoom all the way in, but that is a cannabis leaf above her head. On
her Instagram, sorry, I should have found that for you, but I didn't. On her Instagram, I have a slightly closer picture. So yeah, but it was a very exciting. I think it's very cool that they are that she brought that to that venue. It's a pretty conservative venue, the beauty pageants, you know. So I thought that was pretty daring and exciting.
So her headline was Canada's Alyssa Boston wore a costume inspired by the legalization of cannabis in the country, which of course happened last year. Did she win? Do you know?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Probably.
But yeah, so that was a fun little thing. And I like it, of course, because it's bringing up that conversation in a space where that conversation isn't normally had. That's why I like highlighting like Psychology Today and Hemp Times and, you know, small publications, because it brings this conversation to all areas of our culture.
Absolutely. Very cool.
Fun.
Rolling our Emerald Cup culture into the story.
Oh yeah, you didn't play the Emerald Cup thing.
Oh, that's right. Hello. What are we? Oh, that's the old pal. We are smoking the 21% hybrid.
Oh, I see.
Hybrid 20.
I see.
Nice range of THC levels in those too. So yes, that's right. Let's play that. I do have that ready to go, and I set it up so nicely before I got distracted.
It was so exciting to meet Carolyn Garcia, who is Jerry Garcia's former bride, who accompanied him on most of his journey. And she is a psychonaut pioneer, and she wrote a great book called Primo Plant that I had her autograph, and it was really delightful meeting her. So go ahead and roll that beautiful bean footage.
Okay, here we go.
I wanted to just throw in a few words about the cultural spaceship that the Grateful Dead became. Woo! That's pushed all this stuff up, out of the weeds, so to speak. Just these ratty guys with their little folk music band, and they were playing the blues, and they were playing for $25 a night, and they got high together, and they smoked a lot of really good pot together, and then Acapulco Gold came, and there was something very solidifying about the cannabis ritual and about the quality of the weed we started getting from other parts of the world, which was astounding, really. And at a certain point, the folks at the Jefferson Airplane came up with some Colombian weed, which was just like hammers to the skull. And I started to worry a little bit that maybe we'd gone a little bit too far. But actually, variety created an even bigger swell. The bands played better than ever, and people fell into this new cultural wave by the thousands, and it just became a gigantic thing, and it's still gigantic, and continually accruing new people. And as an indoctrination, it was not a scheme, it was not a plot, it just happened. It was a natural thing, like fungal spores going out, and mushrooms are popping up everywhere after a big rainstorm. So, as being personally a fungal spore myself, I'm pretty proud of everything that we did. Yes. And I really feel, I feel a lot of, what is that? Somewhere between cooperation and sympathy with everybody that's tried to grow weed and had some failures and some, but they still with their family and everybody's working together. The cooperative nature of cannabis has to be the connector here that keeps everybody moving together, because it's in the plan. Because it's really important that we all know what each other are doing out there in the world, the cannabis world, which is so big and so varied, and full of odd people and interesting wrinkles
all
and new strains and
the world.
Different growing methods and all of this stuff. It's just as complicated as some of these wonderful old farmers are.
Awesome.
And I feel like now their sons and daughters are taking over their business, and their grandkids, and it's really become a whole family oriented thing.
Yeah.
But each of those things has grown as a result of that. So, we had a discussion here about the worries of large industrial growers and pot growers coming in. And basically we're pushing the concepts that boutique growing is the way to go. There has to be appellations for specific regions. People have to work together and promote together and support each other in their attempts. And that's the way our local cannabis industry is not just only just going to thrive, but it's going to create jobs for generations.
What happened?
Carolyn Garcia, Mountain Girl, author of Primo Plant, as Chela said, about one of the very first OG revolutionaries in the cannabis space before it was a cannabis space. Welcome to Phil Britton real quickly. That's right. Phil Britton is back in the house, guys. Speaking of OG viewers and listeners, welcome back. Broadcasting on Pirate Radio, Cortez, Colorado, 200 watts of power over 4 square miles. Thanks, Phil, for sending out the Reefer Revolution. And welcome everybody else jumping in. The wonderful thing about, Phil says, the wonderful thing about stoners is that we sometimes forget we are, and it don't matter. True story. I was saying today that, and someone else, we were talking about how euphoria is actually a medical use for cannabis. And someone else said that in another, I think it might have been in that society call, perhaps, about, or maybe not, I don't know. But euphoria being not a bad thing when it comes to the medical aspects, medical benefits of cannabis.
Absolutely.
But a little taste of some of what we captured last year. And CJ Apo was there. Thanks, CJ, for the shout out of the great coverage. Mahalo. We did have fun. It was our first time. We had lots of help. This time we're going a little more streamlined so we can see more things, meet more people, and hang out with you guys more and do some more check-ins throughout the weekend. So subscribe, get notifications, and ring that bell so you can catch every time we go live. Meanwhile, okay, moving on. Now let's move on to the news. Cannabis Chronicle. Back to that spot. www.dc420la.com. And there is, of course, lots of Emerald Cup information in the Chronicle this week. There's a couple of great guides. Did you want to talk about anything in those stories of the Emerald Cup? But there's one from Mary Jane is really good, right?
Yes, and Cannabis Now
Cannabis
also.
Now, yes.
I like the Cannabis Now one because it gives you some nice background, some nice history about how it all started and all that good stuff. So if you guys have a chance, you should read that. It's really lovely.
So lots of articles and good ones over there at the Emerald Cup. Now, in that footage, we saw Mr. Derek Riddle, who was I don't know exactly his status, but we've heard in the last.
He's all right.
He's
bought
fine.
Out by New Frontier Media.
That's true. I'm sure he's an incredibly creative talent, and
as are all the 14 people who worked at Cannabis. At Civilized Life,
Civilized,
who got laid off this week.
MedMen, of course, and many other cannabis companies beginning a culling, if you will, of employees, and
that's definitely how the mainstream media wants to frame it. But for somebody who works in film and television, I don't really see it like that. Cannabis is a seasonal plant. There'll be more jobs. It'll come and go.
Well, I'll tell you, if you look at Michigan and what's happened this week in Michigan, they're putting sales limits on the cannabis in the stores.
Shops,
They are, people, 200 people in line at closing time.
Which is why, they'll either adapt, unlike California has done thus far, and they'll keep people funneling toward the regulated market, or if they don't adapt, then the unregulated market will flourish like it is in California. So other states can see what we're doing and where we're screwing it up, and hopefully they can make different choices.
Yes, but remember, they are politicians and bureaucrats. So I guess I don't give them as much benefit of the doubt as you do.
I think all those folks who are no longer able to be cannabis farmers in California seriously need to run for office in one level or another.
That is an awesome idea.
City council, assembly, at national level, in some way or another, they need to infiltrate every single layer of elected office. School board.
Well, it's a matter of survival.
Yeah,
to change
they
the
need new
laws.
jobs.
Yeah,
so.
To change the matter of survival to save a culture. Our California cannabis culture that's the heart of it, and it is going through a radical change.
Yeah.
That is not necessarily it's debatable whether it's a good or a bad thing that's going on.
It's doing what 70 years prohibition didn't do. It's destroying the industry.
Destroying community cannabis growing, that's like it, and medical cannabis. Basically, essentially, the collective model that 215 and subsequently laws passed created prior to Prop 64 created a semi-regulated space where nobody was dying from vape illnesses.
Nobody. Not a single person.
Nobody was dying from vape illnesses. Was there greed and stuff going? Well, yes. Well, of course, California provides 86% of the U.S. cannabis to people. So sure, there's other people taking advantage of our awesome climate here in California, but there are entire communities and families, generations that have been doing that. As well as growing ethically and with good practices and providing excellent flower and develop things along the way. I mean, this is one of the things we picked up today. Vaping has been around for a long time in the grand scheme of this cannabis, the recent cannabis history, and this. As the doctor said on that call today, this is a relatively new phenomenon, and he made the speculation there's something else going on here, as was what we've been saying here, and he connected it to the possibly to the trade war that's going on in China, because it's driving up the costs of products and making people go cheaper routes in the unregulated market. And so, because this is a relatively new phenomenon, despite the fact that people have been vaping cannabis for a long time in this oil form. Now, technology is changing the way things, and there are no real studies as to how these products are going to impact people long term. When you take into concern heavy metals, when you take into concern, as Dr. Russo brought up on that call today, heavy amounts of pesticides and other things in there. There's a super pesticide allegedly being used by the cartels in California.
Yeah, allegedly.
So, that kill bears.
A tablespoon to kill a bear.
Instantly kill a bear. Which doesn't make much sense to me. But if that's the case, maybe that stuff's getting into the oil. So it ain't the THC now.
Or the CBD.
It
ain't the flower.
If it's real CBD, it ain't the flower. Because apparently dry herb vaporizing is the only way to be vaporizing right now, quite frankly. But it's certainly the safest without incident. And there are several ways to do that. We're going to get ours back online. We ordered the bags. I ordered the bags, baby.
We ordered the bags.
I ordered the bags.
And I'm ordering you a PAX Vapor Pen.
Our Air Riser EQ is going to be back in functioning next.
The PAX
soon.
Vapor Pen we learned today during the session with Dr. Marcoux is so high quality that it's been approved for scientific studies at UCSF. So the PAX Vapor Pen is all that and then some, apparently. Does anybody in the chat have a PAX pen?
Or know how we can get a sponsorship from, have them send us a couple for the show, because that would be awesome.
That would be really awesome.
Because I don't want heavy metal. I don't want cadmium. I don't want, what was that other nasty stuff that's in this article? This is actually a cobalt. This is a really decent article over at Mary Jane, one of the cannabis media that hasn't take a hit yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But we touched on some of this recently on the show, that there have been one group of pathologists, I believe, I don't remember what state it was, but looked at 17 of these cases of this vaping illness and found chemical burns and no lipid buildup in the people who had died from this, but that there was definitely what seemed to be chemical burn damage, and they thought it seemed like, well, cheap solder has this stuff in it, and when you heat it up, guess what? You get cobalt, aluminum, lead. This story is based on a study. It's by Randy Robinson over at Mary Jane. A new case study reports that a California woman developed a rare, incurable condition called cobalt lung after vaping for only 6 months. A study published Wednesday in European Respiratory Journal showed the unidentified 49-year-old woman's lungs featured permanent scars and crackles. Lab tests revealed that her lung tissue contained cobalt, aluminum, and lead. So, it ain't the THC.
Nope.
That's what I'm saying. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But, unfortunately, people put other stuff in there, and guess what? Not all. There was a very excellent point made about limonene today, the terpene limonene, that it's quite nice in a very small dose, vaped or burned. As it's essentially vaped in a joint as it works down. But if you in high doses, limonene is effective for taking stickers off of metal.
Right. Yeah.
So. Essentially, that's what that is. So it's not necessarily just because you've got something that you should put it in very high concentrations and do something with it. Now, is this part of the problem with the supposed liver damage with CBD? That's one. One theory.
This liver damage with CBD bullshit is not CBD. It's liver damage with Epidiolex.
Right. Yes.
They should be more specific.
That's true.
Because it's liver damage with Epidiolex, because there's other ingredients in Epidiolex besides CBD.
And
there's
the way
alcohol
it's processed, and the way it's processed is not bueno either.
Yeah.
So Phil Britton says it is the high heat temps of the vapors, smokes that burn, injure, and blistered lungs. It's why water pipes and chillums were invented.
Yes.
That's right. The cooling down, the heat.
Well, Dr. Marcoux did said that when it burns it's burning it. It's not vaping anymore, and it's smoking.
That was an excellent point too, is that, all of these devices, they say, oh, it's a vaporizing, like this dip. I have a dipper device now that I just got. Very cool. It's great. Awesome. Into the concentrate dip. And I immediately hear from him, says, oh, well, if the coil's heating up, you're not vaping. You're burning it. You're incinerating it. It's like the end of a cigarette. So if you look at the end of your device and it's heating up like a coil, that is not vaping. That's burning it. So, the reefer. Don't fear the reefer. And a dry herb vaporizer, you can afford a Volcano, or they're very expensive because they're high quality and they're rated so that they can be used in trials. They use Volcanos in clinical trials.
And packs.
And packs are going to start.
Those are the ones that are quality. Hey, Vegan Metro wants to know where you got the replacement bags from.
Straight from the AirRiser EQ site.
Hey, how convenient. Go straight back to the place. Oh my God, you guys. Oh, Dave, I'm sorry. You're going to kill me. I didn't give you the story, because I hate spreading this kind of news. But you guys, this is important for you to know.
What's that? Breaking news.
At Amazon, they fired a guy for using medical cannabis. Shock, right? He had a medical cannabis card, and before they gave him his 10-month swab, because that's part of their policy, he said, hey, I use medical cannabis. He was one of the top performers in a warehouse job, not driving a truck or anything like that. And he, of course, had cannabis in his system. They put him on suspension first. He's like, no, I told you I have a medical card. Here's my stuff. Then they fired him for not providing the stuff before getting the test, even though he tried to. So now he's suing, of course, because he also tried to apply for a job at Whole Foods, owned by Amazon, and was barred from getting a job at Whole Foods because of his work and getting fired at Amazon. So I'm trying desperately to boycott Amazon.
Oh, it's the resistance is futile.
No.
It's going to be tough.
And Whole Foods.
We've gotten sucked in.
I haven't been to Whole Foods since.
Really?
No.
Wow.
Oh, it's only been a few days.
I ordered our air riser directly
One
from the company.
day at a time.
I have to go down the hill to get the dog food now.
That's right. You can't order the dog food.
And go to the bottom of the hill, which is just
you have to leave
tragic
the house
for me.
Yeah, I know. Me too, dude. I get it. That's why I didn't do anything but grocery shop yesterday.
Indeed.
Anyway.
But here's the ironic thing is I think Amazon's going to start delivering cannabis in Canada.
Yeah.
As like CVS in Canada is selling cannabis. Or one of the largest pharmacy chain in Canada is selling it. So, it's not cheap to vaporize flower, but that's the way to do it. And these cheap knockoffs and these, in cheap technology and people cutting costs are these China trade deals causing an impact on this? Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there. I mean, it is sudden. This is a sudden thing. People were, there were other lung illnesses causing problems at different, even earlier on before this.
Man, we're jumping all around today.
We are. That's
more
fine.
than usual. It's all right.
It's like
we're like a kaleidoscope. You guys.
It's kind of our last official show of the year because we're just going to be checking in and for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
In our Reefer Revolution on the road begins next week at the Emerald Cup for the rest of the year, and then we'll go into start our new format. Stay tuned for that beginning in January.
Yeah.
But continuing on in the years, we're flowing into the different topics as we move through. What's in the Chronicle this week. So that's just a little more insight into the fact that it's probably not it's definitely not the THC, and what's causing this illness for everybody that's going on is still up in the air. There are many different possibilities that are contributing to this. And one other thing I learned today was also that MCT oil isn't as bad as, say, vitamin E oil might be. So
but
that's
flower is the best.
But flower is the best.
Bottom line, flower is the best. We all know that flower doesn't kill anybody, and that's great.
And if you do vaporize, stick it, stay under 400 degrees. Then you're cool. You're cool for health, and it's actually shown to help your lungs. Your breathing with dry air vaporizing in clinical studies with vaporizers like Volcano. So they are your lungs. So you might as well give them a chance and give this plant, as much possible benefit for your body through the best way to get it without it being bastardized or changed by chemicals and greed and novel ways of consuming that aren't necessarily that healthy. Edibles have been around for a long time, as smoking's been around forever. So we like to stick to that here on this show. Touching on the continued problems just a little bit, we said Mary Jane is still around, but it looks like Hightimes may not be around for very much longer unless they end up getting bought up by, say, maybe Frontier Data, which is really weird to me.
Maybe Mary Jane will buy Hightimes.
Maybe.
Mary Jane has enough money to buy Hightimes. Snoop Dogg can absorb that shit.
Snoop's doing okay, although
Snoop's
apparently he is
not
going to the Emerald Cup though this year. He's got a schedule conflict.
But Snoop is pretty
busy.
Yeah. And pretty city.
Yeah, it's true.
The Emerald Cup is very country.
Well, I don't know anything
I'm sure,
about Snoop Dogg? But
I'm sure I wish him well, and I look forward to seeing him at the next one.
Well, listen, we're Still Pulse out, aside, we don't really go for the music. We go for the information and the education and the people and meeting the community. But it's just loud. It's very loud.
It's super loud, but we can wear things. Hey, We didn't put anything about this in the newsletter, but Willie Nelson, speaking of
I didn't want to talk about that.
Everybody's talking about smoking, so I just want to touch on it really briefly.
I think it is in there. It's down.
Is it?
But you talk about it a little bit. I'll see if it's in there.
What really struck me about the Willie Nelson story, that we did mention last week, that somebody said that Willie Nelson is no longer smoking pot. He's no longer smoking joints, flower. He's no longer smoking flower, but he's vaping, he's eating, and he's oiling and all the things. He's still using cannabis, but so many news outlets were like overjoyed that he was sick. You know?
Right.
And that is disgusting. They were thrilled that he's sick and his lungs are broken. Guys, he's 86 years old.
And
Very
he's actually
few people reach to 86 years old, and he sings every night.
And he's actually beaten cancer.
Yeah.
With, before.
Cannabis.
With cannabis.
Anyway. So that's the only thing I want to say about that.
And he is using it in every other form possibly, including vaping as well. Probably has several volcanoes.
Maybe in January, because everybody's very concerned about my cough, and I understand why. It sounds terrible. I will vape in January from our new PAX vape pen.
And our Airizer EQ, which we're going to have all of our stuff. So yes, we are going to move into that and try to do more of that as opposed to actually burning. Also, and you're also going to do a little fasting too, which might be,
I am going to be doing some fasting. That's exciting.
Well, it is the new year after all.
I'm doing the fasting now.
Yes. Well, getting ready for the new year. It's all right.
Guys, I'm doing the fasting because I have a crown.
You're doing it now so that you can get ready for the holidays. That's really what you're doing. Because our trip to Colorado is apparently all going to be about food. Luckily, it's going to be vegan.
I'm shocked.
Food. Lots of good vegan food. Because now we have the majority.
Yes.
We've taken over the family.
Yes, we have taken over the family. The vegans are the majority of the group.
Vegan
there
Metro.
are 9 of us that travel around together in a horde, and 6 of us are vegan.
Now, yes.
So screw you guys.
That's right.
We're going vegan.
We've got the majority.
You guys
Tyranny of the majority.
Eat some meat? Go by yourselves.
And we had a little baby vegan with us too. So does it make 7?
That's right.
That's right.
Baby
vegan. A baby vegan. Hey, CJ, are you still in the house? Because yes.
Yeah, he is.
He's
excited about steel poles too.
Super interesting story. Haven't seen this before. Illinois City will use weed taxes to pay reparations for black residents. It's the landmark initiative from the story. Zach Harris, this again coming from Mary Jane. The first of its kind initiative is an effort to keep more black residents in Evanston and to start righting the wrongs of slavery, the war on drugs, and centuries of racist persecution. A landmark social equity program, it's being called, was approved in Evanston, Illinois late last week, establishing the nation's first reparations program for black residents funded directly by legal weed taxes. Hasn't been called that in any way in any proposed legislation that I've seen come through in any social justice or social equity laws that have been coming through. Certainly attempting to right some of the wrongs of the drug war, but never framed that way. Not even in the Marijuana Justice Act, really, as far as I remember. I haven't read it, looked at it in a while, but Cory Booker's bill and so I don't know. What do you think is thinking about that in the chat? Chela, what do you think about that? Is that what weed taxes how they should be framed for it? I mean, we're anti-weed tax to begin with, really. I mean, or at least low weed taxes.
So that's
are good,
the first thing is we're anti-weed tax.
Right.
We're anti-cannabis tax.
Shouldn't tax medicine.
Food. But if it's going to be taxed, because it will.
Right.
How do I feel about the taxes going towards reparations? That's great, but who's going to decide who gets what?
Right.
I mean, it's not going to me, obviously. I don't have a dog in the hunt. But who's going to decide? And I wonder if that's going to cause an issue. But I love the idea of reparations. I think that's great.
But that, to combine them with the emphasis, sort of the integration of it with the drug war specifically.
Well, the drug war is just an extension of slavery.
True story, and racist immigration policies, and all
the things,
anti-war.
What I really think is that we need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Yes. That's what I really think.
But it's, how do you, I can, with the drug war, you can, if you had a conviction, for this, and you can quantify that. And
Vegan Metro says this seems like a trick to get people to not support legal cannabis.
Oh, now that's an interesting thought.
And I wish to note that Vegan Metro is a person of color,
yes.
So he may have a better perspective about
certainly.
About this. Certainly, I don't qualify.
It's just it is, as I say, this is the first of its kind. There have been numerous social equity and social justice. Illinois, I believe, the state law itself mandates this to happen, and it's one of the better ones in the states that are going through. I think Oklahoma is going to knock it out of the park when they get to it, but with their legal adult use, as they have with the medical. But Illinois doing, I think, better than some based on what's going on around the country and earlier states. But this is certainly further than, at least in its framing, is interesting and different.
CJ Apo is telling us that Wisconsin is pissed because they are lining the border with cannabis dispensaries. And Illinois told them it's better than selling communist Chinese fireworks. Yes, and hey, you know what? Wisconsin, those border towns, are going to experience a lowering of drunk driving related accidents.
I think Wisconsin actually has the highest drunk driving rate in the country.
Oh my God, it's going to be amazing.
I heard that. Give
it a year, CJ. It's going to be great. They're going to be just like the story out of Washington and Idaho last week, that drunk driving in Idaho has gone down because Washington has legal cannabis. Pretty cool.
Yeah, not using the word equity is on purpose. Vegan Metro. Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Zoxylix, hello, brother. Welcome. And let's see what's anybody else saying anything in the chat. If you catch anything like that, please, you're doing excellent in pulling those out. Mahalo. But true in all cases, you guys. Thank you for your contribution. In this interesting story, in this interesting time in our lives in cannabis. So many things going on, like in Michigan, where, we reported on it last Sunday because that's when it happened. Michigan started, quote, recreational adult use sales in 4 stores, I believe, and in day one did $221,000 in cash. In Ann Arbor and mostly Ann Arbor, I think, but just 4 stores. And turns out, guess what? Lots of people want weed in Michigan. Shocker. Even in the winter in Michigan.
They'll stand outside.
This also, we're hitting Mary Jane. I feel like we're at marijuana moment last week, Mary Jane this week. Michigan's legal weed demand is so damn high, it's imposing a sale limit. Chris Moore writing over there, 2 stores are limiting sales to 7 grams per customer, and another is limiting sales to 1/8 of flower. I don't know if you caught, I caught Daily Dope's update last week. He did an update on Michigan sales, and he's not convinced that this shortage, that there is actually going to be a shortage situation, or it's going to be it's a self-imposed shortage. It's basically creating demand, similar to the Popeye's chicken phenomenon. You create demand so that people will kill you for your sandwich. But you would think that there would be plenty of weed, considering it was just harvest time, also. But apparently not. And the prices, of course, we saw were not. They were definitely, not something like you think. Well, let's see. If you make something legal, prices are going to go down. That's one of the arguments. It's one of the things. Benefits of legal. Well, guess what? It's not the case. It's never the case, and I've yet to see that be the case. in anything. It's so much not the case that there's a company in Canada that's like, oh, no, we're going to do it. We're going to make weed that's actually lower than the black market price, as opposed to more than the black market price in our legal weed. So it's very similar in the legal states. It really is not, if they're trying to get people out of that market, they're not doing it by charging these prices. And especially when you look at California, we reported a couple of weeks ago that the taxes, you might have heard, are going up in California again, January 1st. Because the taxes were going so well, but the reason they're going up is because the wholesale price gap index from wholesale to retail has changed. It was at 65% or 60%. Now it's going up. It's gone up to 80%. So it's an 80% markup.
That's
from wholesale to retail in the California cannabis market, and that's what the taxes are based on.
Grow your own, yo. So they're going to force everybody to learn how to grow their own.
So you have a struggling industry because it's overregulated. The cost of doing business in California just is ridiculous to get licensed and regulating and testing, and then you add on top of it the taxes.
Well, much less not being able to get a place to do it in. You need to secure a location, and that's not easy either. I mean, it's
months of waiting.
Very, very, very hard, and as I understand,
almost like they don't want it to happen.
Yeah, almost like they don't want it to happen. And I get that because cannabis is a major disruptor. It's going to change everything. So that's why we need to keep continuing to push out the stories of how cannabis changes everything for everybody, and educating our friends and neighbors and loved ones about how cannabis has helped you. So do your homework, send your notes to all the elected officials for all the different things, and we'll be checking in over the next few weeks.
Are you telling me to wrap it up?
I am.
Was this the cue to wrap it up? I'm sensing that. It is getting late. Chela's like, I'm exhausted.
It's 5:21.
Can we go to bed? I know. Well, let's go. Let's wrap it up at 5:30. How about that? How about that's a compromise? As I'll go through some more of the headlines.
Okay.
Looks like Bloomberg is walking back his previous. He's basically taken Biden's position now. Bloomberg has moved to the left on cannabis since he originally announced. Because he got so much flack. And now he's basically taken Biden's position, the boomer position. And of course, Booker wasn't having that this week as even the corporate. Now, this is interesting. This is, of course, he has PACs, Booker. And the PAC ads are full of cannabis. And the debate he had with Biden, last debate, and with his very planned joke. About him being high and also making people high look silly. But besides that, he's using it. They're using it in his ads, both of them. Cannabis 2020, folks. It's happening. It's part of the agenda. Also part of the agenda, apparently, is hemp is getting a break. Surprise, surprise. They can do banking now. FinCEN guidance. Wonder who pushed that through. I wonder who made a phone call. McConnell. Because, the farmers are in distress.
Totally, man.
And you can't have a booming industry, as we know, with cannabis.
And that's the thing.
With banks not being able to do business. So it's official. Hemp banking gets a boost. This from the Hemp Industry Daily. As 4 federal agencies remove red tape for new crop. Laura Drotliff writing over there at the new Hemp Industry Daily. Very nice source for hemp news because hemp is going to save the world, and it's big news as long as they can figure out how to grow it, sell it, and put the money in the bank. After a season-long struggle associated with banking and financing their operations, hemp farmers and businesses can exhale now that federal and state financial institutions have loosened reporting restrictions on hemp banking and issued guidance for members. So now they have rules. Rules are nice. Let's see. We touched on the Emerald Cup. We touched on that high times problem. We've got, this North Dakota speaking of social justice, at least this advisory board, this coming out of the High Times, it's been fun. It's really kind of sad, actually. This is the biggest hit. I was kind of surprised that this High Times problem came up. I knew everybody else was struggling from overexpanding, like MedMen, and probably some of the media companies as well, taking on some amazing people and doing. You can't advertise. Here's the thing: you can't advertise in the cannabis space, so you can't take taxes off. You can't advertise. It's almost like they don't want it to happen. Hightimes Holding, other cannabis publishers might be shut down. The story writing over there. This is in the New York Post about the High Times. But High Times reporting, North Dakota Advisory Board approves pardons of 26 people with cannabis convictions. AP story being reported in High Times. In a single motion, North Dakota's 5-member Pardon Advisory Board approved the pardons of more than 24 people with low-level marijuana convictions. You know who could have done that, Chela, in 2016? Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. Could have been done. But
Obama.
I think Yang this week said he would pardon everybody, all the low-level marijuana convictions.
He has said that before.
He has said that before, and he was on the Rising show this week, talking about that and injection sites. So those are the headlines over on Cannabis Chronicle, guys. Go check out some of those stories. There's some other stories down in Science, but enjoy the reading this week of the Cannabis Chronicle as you enjoy the show. And subscribe, and you must on YouTube get notifications or whatever platform you're on. We are multi-streaming on YouTube, Facebook, DLive, Twitch. Did I say Facebook? Yes. And hopefully Periscope next week. I got to figure that out, why it's not working. But essentially, subscribe, do whatever you do on whatever platform you're on, and watch for our live broadcast coming up this weekend from the Emerald Cup, starting Friday with our meet and greet with any Reefer Revolutionaries who are going to come on out and join us at this amazing, amazing event. We know Dr. Barry Gordon is going to be there. So if you want to meet Dr. Barry, come on, give us a DM in Twitter. Shoot me a Twitter over at DC 420 LA. You can DM me there. And we're like, you can hashtag us while we're broadcasting. We're going to find out some kind of way. And we're going to do, Chela's going to be doing internet stories live from the Emerald Cup. So it'll be a multi-streaming, multi-social platform until they kick us off.
Whatever.
Event.
We're just going to enjoy it.
We are. We're going to have a good time. We're going to cover it.
We're going to share the stories we want to share. We're going to talk to Dr. Barry in Florida. We're going to talk to CJ Apo in the Midwest. We're going to talk to Vegan Metro in Las Vegas. There's no reason why we can't get you guys corresponding from the ground. And also we're going to talk to other activists and doctors and farmers in the grow. So thank you guys so much for being here. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the year. We look forward to having you on the check-ins as we are doing so much stuff for the next 2 weeks. That's right. And the show's going to get bigger and better in 2020. So we will see you this weekend from the Emerald Cup. We love you guys. Thank you for all the engagement in the chat. I see Jilly Love 101 jumping in there. Thanks for joining in. Brian Canotel jumped up there in the end. Thanks for saying hello, everybody. And we'll see you from the Emerald Cup next week. Remember to free the plant, free the people. Pot for peace. Aren't you playing a video? Oh. Yeah, I don't know. You were driving me out so fast. I'm like, we better go. And then come back and play this? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were saying goodbye. I don't want to end the thing. I don't want to end the broadcast before you start the next thing. There's no need for that. Okay. These producers change things on the fly. No, there's no need for that because we're not, infringing on other people's copyright. Actually, I guess we are. We're promoting the Grow Sisters. Yeah, that's true. But we're promoting them. But they wouldn't see it as infringing on their copyright. No, yeah, of course, it's a matter of opinion. Whatever. You want to play the song? Go ahead. But I don't have the Grow Sisters ready to go. But sorry. It'll take me 2 seconds to do it. We'll cut this all out afterwards. But this is fun, guys, isn't it? I'm sorry, I got the bums rush.
at the 5:20 mark, so I lost my mind about the other video. What's that?
Is it rude to say that now?
Oh, that's right. It's official. We're not supposed to talk about the behind the scenes stuff.
No, the bums rush.
Oh, is that politically incorrect? But really? What is that? Well, that's like
the homeless being
homeless people being pushed out of. Okay, I guess that's technically politically incorrect.
It might be bad. We're all over the place.
Indeed. It must be that awesome old pal that we've been enjoying today.
Hey, Daily Dope.
Along with our skunk. Daily Dope jumping in.
Brando.
Awesome,
How's
bro.
How's it going, man?
Hey, man, welcome back to the YouTube world. Everybody go over and subscribe and make sure you check out Brando, the Weed Commando at the Daily Dope show, and back on the air doing an update, 4-part update, and also all about Michigan legalization. Really great video on what's the news over there about that and what the scoop is from somebody who's been doing it for real, OG style in Michigan before all their nonsense, because they got problems too. Although their home grows at least 12 plants.
True story.
But, I'm sure it's like you can't see it, smell it, or hear it growing.
Who knows?
Well.
There are other states that are doing better than we ever could have dreamed of, like Oklahoma.
And like you say, we need more, we need cannabis activists and other people interested in this plant and making sure that we do create a good industry and do have good social equity. And also are able to end the drug war and new prohibition, because that's essentially what we have. Just like look at Canada. This is what we have.
As you're going to hear from this video.
They've legalized it. They've legalized it for those that can pay to play. Mm-hmm. And they've recriminalized it for those that can't. So, and here's a little look from our friends of the show, the Grow Sisters, putting out some amazing cannabis media content. And we need to support cannabis media that is being made on the ground, small media companies especially that are putting out great content like Daily Dope, like Grow
Sisters?
The Grow Sisters. Mm-hmm. So check out this video and then we'll play the song. Okay. See you on the other side. Wait, I have to demute it. This is the Grow Sisters Media presents Know Your Farmer. This is their Know Your Farmer series for 2019. And the farmers they are letting you know about is Mountain Wise from Humboldt County. So enjoy the Grow Sisters.
Hello, my name is Sarah, and welcome to Mountain Wise Farms. So beyond being a farmer and owner of Mountain Wise Farms, I also own Integrated Integrity, a distribution company. It allows me to take the flower produced on my farm, create products, and distribute them to the retail stores. It was not a path I chose willingly. I felt it was a necessity for me to regain control of my farm. The regulation has created fears that are so different from the fears I experienced in the past of being a cannabis farmer. I now, I'm not fearing helicopters and imprisonment. I'm fearing corporate takeover. I'm fearing being squashed and stepped on and having everything I have worked so hard for taken from me. What has changed in Humboldt County with the black market and legalization is everything. Everything has changed in Humboldt County. Looking back, when I had a cannabis collective and dealt with patients, I knew we were working towards change. I knew that some sort of legalization was coming. I didn't know it was going to look like this. My community has suffered. The schools have suffered. The fire departments have suffered. the restaurants, the small business owners, everybody is feeling the pains of legalization. It's kind of this catch-22 situation where it's like we used to be looked down upon for being a pot farmer, but then regulation hit and the community suddenly realized what the pot farmers were doing for the community. We're not here poisoning the earth. We're here caring. We're here donating to the food banks. We're here volunteering in the schools, volunteering on the fire department. And what legalization did for that is it took it from us farmers. We don't have money to donate to our community. We don't have time to volunteer because we're no longer just a farmer. We're compliance managers, we're bookkeepers. And granted, these are all things that are part of a regular business. The level of regulation is like nuclear warfare. Legalization has brought Mountain Wise to a whole new place where we are producing cannabis large scale. It is not the same as what we once were, but the passion and the love that we give to this plant has never changed. Legalization has changed a lot in Humboldt County. That in the last few years, the viewpoints of the officials have shifted, and I think cannabis might be Humboldt's last great hope. We've been through, mining, logging, fishing. The weed has always been here. It's just never had the opportunity to propel this community to what it could be. Supporting craft cannabis is important because just like anything else that goes in your body, the medicine that goes in your body is important to know also. Us farmers here in Humboldt County, we care. We got into this for love and passion, for falling in love with this area, and we carried on this dream to provide this medicine to other people, whether the medicine be smoking a joint and relaxing and laughing is super important, or whether it's your arthritis that prevents you from walking. This plant and us farmers who care are doing it to make a difference. We produce medicine that heals. We take the flowers and produce other medicine that heals in different ways. But our passion and our farming practices are what allows us to produce something different. Going legal was a hard choice for me. I saw it as my only choice. I've been in this industry for more than 15 years, and I know nothing else. I need the legal cannabis world to work for me. It's given me this beautiful ability to go out in the community and stand proud as a cannabis farmer, and that I feel super blessed for. Legalization is also one of the saddest things that has happened to Humboldt County. I've lost friends. I've had to watch them move away, sell their farms. People who have been here for generations having to throw in the towel because the paperwork and the regulation is just too much. It saddens me to no degree. My experience as a woman in the cannabis industry has been nothing but wonderful. I was able to put myself in a beautiful community and empowered friendships here in Humboldt County. And just because I was a woman, it never changed a thing. I was always valued for my hard work, for my thoughts, my ideas, for my drive, my passion. The good men in this industry appreciate the good women in this industry. We have always been a part of it. If you look back on the history of Humboldt County, behind every strong male farmer, you'll find yourself a badass mama. What is happening right now is history being made. Everyone deserves access to good cannabis, but when you don't know where it comes from, how can you vouch for the quality of it?
Humboldt County, the Gross Sisters.
Oh, we're back.
Make sure you go over to their YouTube channel. I'll drop the link in the description. That was an amazing Know Your Farmer. One of the it just came out just a couple weeks ago, 1 week ago. Just amazing media, amazing flower. They had the first license.
Permanent farm, yeah. They grow amazing flower. They're selling. They're selling seeds.
No, slouch a little bit.
Slouch a little bit. They're selling seeds, and they have a media empire, a small media empire, and their videos are all incredible.
Incredible.
Siobhan.
How to grow.
Yeah,
videos too.
Siobhan is a second or third generation farmer. Third, yeah. Third, second. I can't remember. I'm so sorry. She's a legacy farmer.
Yes,
Let's
legacy
put it
farmer
that way.
for sure.
She's a legacy farmer, and these folks have amazing stories, and we have them to thank for everything that we have in the cannabis community. So,
Brian Doggett over on Facebook. Thanks for watching, Brian. I truly hope these true OG farmers who care about the actual product don't get pushed out by big corporations who could care less about their products.
Yep. Well, we're hoping that those who have been pushed out, because many have already been pushed out, as we saw in that video.
Yep.
I hope that those farmers who've been pushed out find a new lease on life by running for office for realsies.
At least to try to get their lives back. Change the laws.
Change the laws and make it better for everybody.
Thanks, Brian, for going to follow them. They are amazing. And we do hope to connect with Siobhan Danger Darwish when we're up at the Emerald Cup, which we will be this weekend.
Super excited.
Holy Cannabis Oil, CJ Apo, Dr. Barry Gordon. And we're all going to get together on Friday. Holy Cannabis Oil is bringing up some wedding cake. Very nice.
Awesome.
Love wedding cake.
We'll bring some Old Pal.
We'll bring some Old Pal. That's what we'll do.
Yeah, shareable.
We'll definitely shareable, Old Pal cannabis, affordable, shareable. Oh wait, I've got it right here. Accessible, affordable, and abundant. Old Pal's vision is simple. It's just weed, man. Neighbor grown and meant to be shared. This cannabis is all natural and sun-kissed. Available in 3 varieties: indica, sativa, and hybrid. This is weed for the people. Grab a bag of Old Pal and pass it around. It's time we took care of each other. Learn more at oldpal.com.
Old Pal, thank you so much for taking care of us.
Thank you for taking care of us, Old Pal. They are actually really good folks over at Old Pal. All kidding aside. All kidding aside. Good weed, affordable weed, and it is just weed, man. We should all be able to grow it. We should all have it affordable.
Yep.
So things need to change in this industry, and you're going to watch it all happen here at Reefer Revolution Live in 2020.
And you're going to be a part of it by doing your homework.
That's right.
Send notes and call
this next
all
year
your elected
is not
reps.
just going to be watching and chatting.
No, it's Cannabis 2020. You got work to do.
That's right. There you go. That's nice. That's a bumper sticker. Cannabis 2020. We got work to do. So let's get high and have a good time.
That's right.
All right, guys. We will see you. Did I hit the play? We will see you from the Emerald Cup. Free the plant, free the people. Pot for peace, everybody. See you on Friday.
The murderers keep murdering. The churches keep a-burning. The rapists keep a-raping. And the tide ain't turning. Uncle Sam, for all your power, things get worse every hour. It seems to me your energy's all wasted, chasing my friends and me. So hey, Uncle Sam, hey there, Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. The terrorists keep terrorizing. Our leaders keep a-lying. The haters keep a-hating. And the planet's dying. Uncle Sam, do what's proper. Call off your dogs and your helicopters. The problems of society were not caused by my friends and me. So hey, Uncle Sam, hey there, Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. How many innocent people gonna be imprisoned? We just peace and love and street pop and brotherhood freaks. A touch of Mother Nature never made nobody violent, never made nobody hate, nobody will break nobody's peace. Since we've never been shown to be harmful, don't you tell me no lies with your caffeine, codeine, nicotine eyes. The cannabis man is just recent, just since 1938 to re-legalize it, realize it. You made a big mistake. Hey, Uncle Sam, hey there, Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, leave us pot smokers alone. Leave us pot smokers alone. Uncle Sam, understand I love you, but leave me alone.
Good people don't smoke marijuana. This drug is dangerous. You cannot play with it. It's not funny. It's not something to laugh about.
Yes, I'm all in. This is the time to go all in on cannabis.
Nobody who got in prison for marijuana, for example, immediately upon being released, they shouldn't be in there for that should be a misdemeanor. They should be out and their record should be expunged.
We need to talk about your marijuana problem. You know, what's your problem with it?
You can argue the pluses and minuses of marijuana, but marijuana ain't heroin. So we have to end that, and that's what I will do. As President of the United States, I believe we can do that through executive order, and I will do that.